Following on from the previous video where we heavily focused on value, I want to talk about what I believe to be the next best investment opportunity here in the UAE. To understand this investment proposition, we're going to follow a framework of analysis which covers the price to value ratio, the demand anchors, the scarcity value, as well as the exit plan. The most successful investments are ones where you have a clear plan from start to finish. The purpose of this video is to follow this framework of analysis, apply it to what I believe to be the next best investment opportunity here in the UAE, and that is Hudria Island. So this is an island located in Abu Dhabi. We're going to follow this framework of analysis and break down this investment. What this is not going to be is going to be an overview of the island itself. So if you do want more details about the island and the master plan itself, please do contact me in the details below and we'll be more than happy to give you that information. The purpose of this video is not to give you a full detailed breakdown of the island, but to make you understand why this is potentially the most undervalued beachfront community in the UAE and why you actually have the potential to double your cash invested. So we're going to apply this framework of analysis to this island and really break it down. So let's break down the location. Hudria Island is a natural island. It's directly opposite a stretch of land called Al Bateen, which is where all of the old money and royal palaces are situated in Abu Dhabi. So it's a very, very premium location. To give you some perspective, the actual land parcel of Hudria Island is 51 million square meters, which actually equates to roughly 53.8% of the entire land parcel of Abu Dhabi Island. Apart from being directly opposite the royal palaces in Abu Dhabi, it's 20 minutes away from the financial district, which is ADGM, the Abu Dhabi Global Market. And one thing to note, especially in Abu Dhabi, is each island follows a theme. So for example, in Saadiyat, you have the theme of culture. In Yas Island, you've got the theme of entertainment. And Hudria Island is going to embody the theme of sport and wellness. And we're going to take a deep dive into that later on in this video. I'm gonna come back to this point in a moment, but I really wanna focus on the demand anchors, right? So when we touch on this point, on face value, it's only gonna look like amenities. But when you actually understand the master plan and the plans from the government, you're going to understand that this is really going to drive footfall for sports tourism in this area. In line with the government's vision of National Sports 2031, the government are trying to improve sports at all levels across the UAE. And Hudria Island perfectly encompasses the developers or the government's plans to position Abu Dhabi as the leading destination for sports globally. So to highlight some of the plans for this community, we've got Surf Abu Dhabi, the world's largest man-made wave. We also have an Olympic-sized velodrome that is air-conditioned. You have 321 Sports, which is indoor and outdoor courts available for various sports from full-sized football and rugby pitches that will be home to the largest indoor sports drome in the Middle East and Africa region. You also have multiple biking tracks, including Trail X, which is catered for mountain biking and spans over 15 kilometers. You also have Circuit X, which is an adventure hub with 4 unique facilities, including a BMX park, various water-themed attractions like a splash park, wall climbing, zip lines are also available. Why is this significant? Because Hudria Island is trying to position itself as the #1 place to play sport for UAE residents, but also a world-class hub for professional athletes to enjoy the world-class facilities that are going to be delivered by Wu Architects. To give you some context, Manchester City actually visited the island and used their cutting-edge technology and enjoyed their sporting facilities. So it's clear that we have 2 different types of demand anchors here. On one end of the spectrum, you've got sports tourism, which is obviously going to drive footfall from the area. Imagine if you've got clubs like Manchester City actually coming to the island and using their facilities. Imagine as this community matures and when more sporting facilities are available, imagine what the kind of global eyes are going to be on this place, and loads of people want to flood in and actually use these amenities. And actually think about it, right? If you're a professional athlete and if you have a look at some of the available places to live in on this island, it's the perfect blend for luxury living and having sporting facilities for these ultra high net worth individuals to enjoy. The other obvious demand anchor is obviously the demand from the long-term residents who will be residing in this location. Right, they're going to really appreciate and choose this location over any other location in Abu Dhabi because there isn't another community that can match the level of amenities and facilities available on this island. They will want to be in close proximity to this, and that's why they're going to choose to live in this area over all the other areas in Abu Dhabi. So the next point we're going to talk about is the scarcity value, and this is directly derived from the product type. So let's talk about the crown jewels of the community. You've got Nawaif West and you've got Nawaif East. Now these are man-made hills that inspired from the Newport Hills in California, right? So the idea of each hill is that you are elevated above the ground level. So the West Hill is elevated 50 meters above the ground, and the East Hill is elevated 60 meters above the ground. Between each row of the villa, you have an elevation of 10 to 15 meters to allow a beautiful panoramic view of either the sea or the city skyline. So a really unique concept that we've never seen before in the UAE and simply cannot be replicated on this scale. So on the man-made hills, you've got three types of villa. You've got the homes, you've got the heights, and you've got the mansions. The 4 and 5 bedroom homes are averaging 4,700 square foot on the built up area and 6,500 square foot on the plot. You've got 6 and 7 bedroom heights averaging 10,900 on the built up area and 11,100 square foot on the plot. You also have the mansions, which are averaging 21,700 on the built up area and 22,600 on the plots. So another sub community that I just wanted to touch on is the Al Naseem community. Al Naseem is a flat level community, so it's not elevated, but it's situated directly next to the East Hill. Here we have 4, 5 and 6 bedroom villas averaging from 7,500 to 8,500 on the built up area and 10,000 to 11,000 square foot on the plot sizes. The big difference here is obviously in terms of price to value ratios, you're getting a far bigger size. So from my perspective, there's actually great opportunity in Al Naseem because you're buying the land parcel here. So you're buying, say for example, you go for a 5 bedroom in Al Naseem, you're getting a 5 bedroom villa with a 10,000 square foot plot size, whereas the equivalent to that in a homes in the hills is, say 6,700, 6,800 square foot. So there's a big opportunity to own a bigger piece of land in Al Naseem as opposed to the hills. The hills, from my perspective, is the ultimate trophy asset, okay? It is the creme de la creme. That's why it's the crown jewels of the community. But if we're talking about value, arguably Al Naseem offers better value than the hills. So the concept and product type is absolutely phenomenal, but I really want to understand how Mood On as a developer for Hudriyat Island have bridged a gap in the market, right? So speaking to many families who are looking to relocate to the UAE, especially in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, they are facing a common problem, and that is finding housing or homes at the highest level of quality that meet their requirements, right? And I want to understand how Mood On have bridged that gap. So when we understand some of the architects and contractors that they've got on board, we can understand that, you are getting far better value for the asking price that you're paying for these homes. Because if you were to approach any of these contractors independently or architects, they're going to be charging you a phenomenal amount of money. So whilst not yet 100% confirmed, it looks like the leading contractors for the hills is going to be Innovo. They are responsible for developing some of the most prestigious real estate globally. If we look at some of their work, such as the Bulgari oceanfront villas in Jumeirah Bay Island, they have also developed the branded residences by Six Senses on the Palm Jumeirah. And more interestingly, they are responsible for the infrastructure and road development in the master community of Eden Hills in Dubai Hills. So when we think about these communities, they're the epitome of ultra luxury, and therefore it gives you an idea of the contractors that are being involved in Hudriyat Island. When we understand who are delivering these homes, it's fair to say that the homes on the hills are of a higher quality, but that of course is coming at a much higher price point. So Mood On have hired, top quality contractors and architects like Manuel Ruiz to deliver these homes, but what else are they doing different? So for example, in the product variations of these homes, we can have different facade styles across the homes, the heights and the mansions. You have various facade styles to choose from, but also in Al Naseem, you have 2 facade styles to choose from. You've got the more contemporary and modern look, but you also have the Southern Californian style. With having the choice to choose from various facade styles as well as different interior colors, there's going to be something that appeals to everyone. And that is so important because when these homes start handing over, the fact that they're all going to be different is definitely something that is going to add value. And that means, there's going to be less of the same villa types, which obviously drives that scarcity value and ultimately push prices higher. So on face value, it's obviously quite easy to think that the hills are the most premium asset, which obviously they are. I think everyone was so much focused on the hills, they actually overlooked Al Naseem. But when you consider price to value ratio, arguably you're getting more value for the asking price in Al Naseem when you consider, again, the different facades, the interior customization, as well as the FAR ratios. There is definitely a lot of value here when you also consider that the two international schools are going to be located in this community. So yes, on paper, the villas and mansions on the hills are the more premium product, and for sure, in the long term, they are going to perform significantly well in terms of capital growth. Depending on your investment goal, Al Naseem could have been the better pick. It's the first villa community to hand over in Hudriyat Island, so the service charge is actually lower in Al Naseem, so you'll be paying around 5.3 dirham a square foot, whereas on the hills, you're going to be paying anywhere from 8 to 8.5 dirham a square foot. So why is that significant? Because if you were an investor who were looking to generate a yield and you wanted to get a quicker return, because Al Naseem is the first villa community to hand over in Hudriyat, that could have been the better play for you. All the villas and mansions on the hills are now sold out, and Al Naseem has actually just sold out itself. So, we're going to be looking at the next launches and upcoming launches to identify the best investment opportunities for our clients. All right, so now let's think about the exit plan and some of the investment analysis to why we think this product is going to perform so well. So in the exit plan, you've got comparables and also who and why will people buy this product on the resale market who will be willing to pay you a premium or very high rents. Okay, so comparables. If we look at villas in Hid Al Sadia, we can see that they are trading at 4,000 to 5,000 dirham a square foot on the built up area and 3,000 dirham a square foot on the plot sizes. Properties on the hills were trading at 50% less than these prices. We had 2,000 to 2,200 dirham a square foot on the built up area and around 1,500 to 1,600 dirham a square foot on the plot sizes. Of course, that price per square foot slightly varies depending on what unit you bought. For example, if you went for the heights or the mansions, the price per square foot was slightly lower because the sizes were a lot bigger. But in general, you're trading at a 50% discounted rate to those already comparables in Hid Al Sadia. Yes, Hid Al Sadia is a beachfront community. You are walking distance to the beach, but when you consider the amenities and the construction quality, and in terms of amenities, it simply cannot compete in terms of what Moodon are delivering in terms of the magnitude of facilities and amenities. Hid Al Sadia does not even offer a fraction of the construction quality or the amenities or facilities available that Moodon are delivering in this flagship project, which is why we're so confident that we are going to outperform this ready comparable. So coming on to the next point, who and why will be buying these homes and why would they be willing to pay you a premium on handover, okay? So coming back to the location, right? You are 20 minutes away from the financial district. So people who are working in these high performing jobs, they're going to prioritize convenience. And that's why working only 20-minute drive away from the financial district is something that they are going to definitely prioritize. So you have convenience, but also you have that long-term demand anchor of the sporting facilities and the level of amenities that are available on this island. This is exactly why they're going to choose to locate themselves in Hudriyat Island over, say, other islands or residential complexes in Abu Dhabi. So Hudriyat Island is going to be the perfect place to bring up a family, to enjoy those sporting facilities, and the close proximity to the financial district is the exact reason why it's going to perform so well. These demand anchors are going to drive footfall and squeeze prices. Another reason as to why I think property prices are going to significantly rise in this community, if we look at the data from the Abu Dhabi report, we can see that the sales transaction volume is some of the highest amongst all communities across Abu Dhabi. To put this into context, in 2024, we had 3.5 billion dirhams in terms of sales volume, and in 2025, in the first half, we had sales volume of 2.4 billion dirhams. This goes to show that there is an exceptional demand for this area. In contrast, when we look at the supply, between 2025 to 2028, there are only going to be 872 units to hand over, which is going to significantly squeeze the prices on handover when you consider majority of the buyers into this community are end users. They're not going to be reselling their property when it hands over. So that means prices are going to be squeezed, and therefore you have a perfect opportunity to ride that wave of growth. I think it's fair to say profit is not the motivation for Moodon when you consider the scale of this community being delivered. I think it's fair to say that Hudriyat Island is going to be planned and designed to have the best infrastructure for residential use in the UAE. I think there is a big opportunity right now in Abu Dhabi to identify undervalued projects like beachside villas that are catering to a micro market of ultra high net worth individuals who are relocating to the capital, of course, because of the expansion of ADGM and the amount of infrastructure coming into the capital. How are we going to do this? Well, you identify the land parcels that are most underdeveloped and therefore have the biggest potential to grow in terms of capital appreciation. So now it's about identifying the next valuable strips of land where we can look to implement this strategy. There is going to be another beachfront villa launch, and there is going to be another Third Hill launch coming this year, so please stay tuned for this. All right, let's give a case study of where we can expect capital appreciation if we base the numbers on the price per square foot that we can currently see in Hid Al Sadiyat. So let's take the example of SP 191 in the East Hill. It has a price of 11.275 million. It's a really nice unit. It has a full sea view and as well as the city skyline view. So the built up area on this is 4,700 and the plot size is 6,700, which roughly gives you a price per square foot of 2,400 and around 1,740 on the plot. So the unit cost is 11.275. So it's a 40/60 payment plan, which gives us a perfect opportunity to leverage it. That's exactly one of the strategies we've implemented with our clients. We're looking to flip this property on handover. And given that the payment plan is construction linked, this makes it a very low risk investment with a high premium. Okay, so 11.275 times by 0.4 till end of 2028, that gives us a figure of around 4.51 million, including the Abu Dhabi land fee of 2%. So that is 4.51 million is the total amount of equity invested into the property until we reach handover. So now if we benchmark this against already comparables such as Hid Al Sadiyat, if we look at what the price per square foot is in that community, we can times 4,700 on the built up area by 4,000, which equals around 18.8 million. And if you do 6,700 times by the built up on that, 19.4 mil. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to add this together. So we have 19.4 million plus the 18.8, which gives us around 38.8. Divide that by 2, which gives us around 19 million. So the net profit would be the 19 million minus the 11.275, which give you a figure of 7.8 million. So your net profit is 7.8 million dirhams, okay? Now, if we take the net profit of 7.8 million dirhams and we divide that by the cash invested at 4.5 million dirhams over a 3 to 4 year period, we can expect a return on equity of around 170%. Now that gain is significant in this time frame. However, given the transactions we can see in Hid Al Sadiyat, this is not far-fetched. And even if we wanted to be slightly more conservative, we can undercut that price. We can still significantly see a remarkable gain where, we are potentially doubling the cash invested. This return is obviously greater because we would be looking to sell the property before that balloon payment of 60% has been made. If you're looking to get more calculations and reports based on these sort of product types, feel free to, get in contact with me and I can give you a bespoke report specifically on this project. Now, you might think this figure is high, but we're basing it on price per square foot we're currently seeing in Hid Al Sadiyat community that is, significantly underwhelming in terms of construction quality and amenities. So there is no doubt Hujrat could come close or if not outperform this product. This is exactly why you are going to attract that demographic who want to live in this community. These people who want this kind of lifestyle, this level of sporting facilities, close proximity to the financial district. These are the people who are going to pay these premiums for such properties. Contact me in the details below to stay up to date with the upcoming launches, and I can also give you a detailed report on more figures on this community.